I'm going to take a moment to the take a couple of deep breaths. And on the out breath, letting the natural release of the body help you let go of any kind of tensions in the mind. You may let it come to rest on the breath. Simply watching the breath that arises, changes, and passes away. It's nothing to do with the breath. You watch it. Awareness expand the part of the breath you're perceiving, the whole breath, from the tip of the nose, the mouth and throat and esophagus, chest and abdomen, all the way to the pit of your. You might see if you can let all of those sensations arise and pass away in awareness. And the mind will eventually wander off into thought. This is inevitably, it will return. And when it does, you might greet it with kindness instead of any self-judgment or criticism. Imagine a puppy that ran away from home and then it returned. Treat your mind puppy. Cool. Let it return to the present moment. Let awareness expand once more from perceiving the whole breath. You might expand to become aware of the sensations of the breath, the little movements in the fingers, or of the feeling energy rushing into the limbs. You might allow the breath to the whole body in awareness. Those sensations arise. Just letting the sensations of the breath illuminate the whole body, from head to toe. You might see if you can anything that's holding you apart from experience. You might dissolve more fully into this stream of phenomena arising and passing away. Everything is fine as there's nothing that needs to be done with the breath other than experience. They are just the sensations of the breath illuminating the body, rising and passing all on their own. Everything else can be let go of. When the mind, when it returns, simply greet it with kindness. Return to the breath. In the last few minutes, you might let go of all effort, just as phenomena simply exist. Thank you all for the sit. Just want to take a moment to, that's what I'm going to do. It's good to see you all. Hi, Charles. I don't think I said hi.
Hello.
A month ago, I had a conversation with a friend of mine, talking in a group, and kind of popular topics in the news came up. She was pretty upset by this. Conversation kind of turned to the world in general and kind of how we felt about it. And he was feeling a lot of discomfort around that, and a sense of despair actually around how she felt the world was, and in what direction. And conversation to me, I'd had that conversation a few, and I suspect you guys might have had that conversation. There seems to be a lot of that in the water supply. The idea that the is bad and getting worse seems to be like part of the zeitgeist. So I wanted to talk about that. E.O. Wilson has this list and has this lovely quote that I think kind of gives us a reference point for why the world might be this. We might be getting all these kind of stories of doom. And he says, we see our combination of Stone Age emotions, medieval godlike technology. So we have the Stone Age emotions that evolution has kind of given to us. This hardware and this software that we've evolved to work with. And we have this environment given to us by modern technology where people can share their stories with us, which was we evolved to handle. We evolved of people that we were closely related to. And so we have this environment with lots of stories from very different people and points. And we also have this the bias, which you may have heard of. It's the idea that stories or things that are or potentially dangerous or negative are much more salient than stories that are positive and hopeful and uplifting. So we have this environment with lots more stories coming in than we're used to, and the ones that are negative, and we spread those back out and we propagate. So I think given those two things, we're bound quite a bit of these stories of doom and gloom, from the media and other people in our lives. The sutras talk about right effort, and one of the effort is the four great efforts. So, four great efforts deal with qualities of mind. So the four great efforts are setting the intention to have qualities that have not arisen, not arise. And the intention to have unskillful qualities that have arisen, go away. And the intention of skillful qualities that have not arisen, arise. And have skillful qualities that have arisen, stick around. So we know from the suttas that if despair arises in the mind, we receive from outside of us, the thing to do is to there and not kind of push it away, but find things to maybe help it move it along. So that's what I want to do today. I want to offer just a couple of points against the idea that I'm getting worse. Say is that when we receive the stories about all the big problems going on, whether or not they're true, and some of them are not true. So whether or not they're true, whole story, like they're in the world. There's a great deal, not to deny any of that, but that's not the whole. That's not the whole world. There's a great deal of joy and happiness in the world too. It's just that the parts are not considered particularly new. I'm quite sure you've not heard about the fact that today, this very day, millions of parents love their children and presumably love their parents. And then much stronger statement about the world. Hearing about crime in the city or something like that, or some political thing that's happening. We don't really hear much about the agricultural save hundreds of millions of lives. And the fact that 1.5 billion people in poverty in the past 25 years. And imagine that your day and month, like our day-to-day experience is stories of like strife and that get kind of propagated to us. Like um, my day involved bed and this, love the warm heater working and all these things that were people coming together and working together to make the world. Um, that's not always the case. Like I think I was around people who work and working together with me, but it's not always. It may not have been true for you today either. But for the most part, we live in a world with a lot of people coming together and working together. Here are not a full reflection of the world that we live in.
Hey, Stephen, while you're getting the internet is still pretty choppy.
Oh, hmm. Um, are you able to hear me at all, or completely cutting in and out? Or
I mean, maybe others can comment. I mean, for me, it's like these very short in and outs. So yes, I can kind of piece it together, right? But it's like kind of my brain has to keep filling in the gap.
oh, I'm sorry. That's probably pretty uncomfortable.
It's all right. I was just letting you know in case there's anything to adjust on your end.
Yeah, I've encountered that problem before, but I'm not sure there's anything I can do about that. Usually, it just goes away pretty soon. What we can do, we can just continue on and perhaps. Uh, yeah, sorry for the inconvenience. Um, but I wanted to a couple points that are more Dhamma, and I wanted to offer. I have some art to go with this point. Okay. Yeah, so this is a lovely. This is the prologue and the promise by Rob McCall, who's the author or the artist you can see this very large mural. Um, it was hanging in Epcot in Disney World for a while, but it's taken down now. This painting to me is a picture of hope. Um, you can see on the left side that over here, this part that represents it's got it's got the pyramids and the Parthenon and Aztec, and you can see like people kind of moving together into the future, kind of hand in hand, building this. Um, this painting is just so hopeful to me, and the world that we live in is like much closer. This idea of like people working together in harmony, then I think you would. Uh, I think you would believe if you just kind of heard the social media. Explain that. I've talked before about the idea that enlightenment is just a way to see the world that's not this from itself, but from this greater whole, this one unified, interdependent being. And everyone has this is something that's inherent in beings. It's our birthright. The sense of self that we're so admired in, and we seem to identify with. That's an act of conceptual thinking, and doesn't come online until 18 months to 2 years in development of human being. And so for that first period of time, we engages with the world through this viewpoint that doesn't have from this viewpoint of enlightenment. It persists, or that programming, if you will, for engaging with the world persists. Like even when we start to construct the sense of self, that programming is there underneath it, still there, and it's still active. It still moves us forward through the world. And this viewpoint only has one mode of engaging with the world, that of or unity, or whatever word. It's when you see the world from that, you can only act in that way. And when we understand the world as being comprised of beings who all have access to the Buddha nature within them, that really changes the context of these large societal problems that we're facing. If we just kind of hear the story, we might think that the way that we need these problems that we're facing is out and fight this other group of people here that are holding you up, or like doing their doing bad or doing evil, or the story is. You need to fight them, and you need to impose your viewpoint on them. But when you understand the world as to beings who all share this ability to come together, and this active driver, that look very different. Then we're all in the same boat together, and we're trying to find to overcome our differences, rather than trying to like win a conflict with others. And that's such a more helpful and more hopeful. I would also offer that most of these problems that we face are due to the separation that comes from the sense of self. And so that offers another path to solving these problems when we understand that. Not only a solution to the problems that we might already know, but we realize that we problems by working to the constructs of self in us and in others. Point that comes about from seeing the world as a separate self to the world as this unified whole is incredibly transformative. And I would submit to you that again. I would submit to you that if we did that, if we all were able to kind of set aside our sense of self like this, the world would be a place of harmony. I came up with an analogy for how to try and get across the idea of like how transformative this going from unenlightened to unenlightened. I came up with it. So there's the right hand and the left hand, right? And in this hypothetical, the right hand wants to drink. The left hand is trying to stop it, and it pushes it down. Something like, I really need to drink water to stay hydrated. And the left hand might say something like, we don't want to do that right now. We're giving a Dhamma talk and a mouth free of stuff. And you might imagine that the right hand gets very upset about this and starts punching the left hand. This is just this like very completely absurd example, right? Like that's completely silly. and silly because we know that, the right hand and the left are really controlled by this one being over here. And it's that same level of absurdity when you see the world viewpoint of the greater whole. The idea that this body and this mind is separate from that would be just as completely absurd. And the idea of like having any kind of hatred between this body and this body, and or any kind of disharmony would be just the idea of these like two hands. Like when you see the world from this body and this mind, and that body and that mind are just appendages on this greater being. And so there's no room for hatred or othering or any kind of disharmony like that. There's disagree about things. Different minds have different experiences of the world, and so they have different intuitions about things and they patterns. But there's no, and when there's no room for hatred, the only thing that's left is for us to kind of come together. So I find, I guess, Buddhist circles, is it's like it's kind of wishful thinking, or but truth about reality that can be seen through practice. And so I don't like, it's not a kind of flight of fancy. It's just how it is. And hopeful because I mentioned that it opens up a possible solution to our problems of working to let go of the sense of self in us and others. And conveniently, that's what we're doing here today. That's a way you can characterize practice, as to see through and let go of your sense of self. And when you do the practice, the viewpoints and behaviors that you cultivate, so by your practicing, you're helping the whole world let go of this sense of self and of our problems. So that's a very way to actively and meaningfully work towards the solution to most problems that you're facing, just by doing your practice. There's no reason for despair. There is suffering in the world. There's happiness and joy too, and there's unity to the world, and there's a way out of the suffering, and that's through practice. That's what I have for you all today. Very nice to be with you.